And good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday school. How are you guys doing this weekend? I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was a little bit of recovery. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I'm okay. I'm live and well. And so, sometimes you just get a little, just not like completely down, just a little under where you just got to just do a little more resting. So that's how where I would say I was at. Just needed a little more rest this weekend. So I took it. All right. And now we are here for Sunday school and we're going to get into charting. But as we start off every call here in the Trader's Crib, we are going to start with mindset and we're going to refer to the Daily Laws by Robert Greene as we do every day, as it's every single day of the year. And we're going to turn to February 18th, and it is titled Two Kinds of Failure. And we have a quote. A thinker sees his own actions as experiments and questions, as attempts to find out something. Success and failure are for him answers above all. And basically, Robert Greene is saying there are two kinds of failure. The first comes from never trying out your ideas because you're afraid or because you are waiting for the perfect time. This kind of failure you can never learn from, and such timidity will destroy you. The second kind comes from a bold and venturous spirit. If you fail in this way, the hit that you take to your reputation is greatly outweighed by what you learn. Repeated failure will toughen your spirit and show you with absolute clarity how things must be done. In fact, it is a curse to have everything go right for you your first attempt. You will fail to question the element of luck, making you think that you have the golden touch. When you do inevitably fail, you will confuse and demoralize your past, the point of learning. In any case, to apprentice is as entrepreneur, you must act on your ideas as early as possible, exposing them to the public, a part of you even hoping that you'll fail. You have everything to gain. So the Daily Law states, act boldly on one of your ideas today. And I had to read the whole thing for you guys because it sits so home as traders. And this is Sunday school. So it's perfect because it's like, we all have this point in our trading journey where you're too scared to hit the button and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you don't really do it. You're too scared and you overthink it and you overanalysis paralysis and you're sitting there like, oh my God, and you can't press the button, right? And then you never get to your goal that way. And you feel like, oh, okay. And then you try, you get that boldness, Risky Randy here, leading the pack on that side of failure. But I way better prefer that to try and fail, to keep trying and failing, to learn from each failure versus to never try at all. And so for all of you who are still trying to get there, trying to push the button, things like that, let's tonight and futures, because you got to act boldly today, right? Today. So tonight, in about 54 minutes, we're going to look at the futures and we're going to try things, whether in sim or in live. There is no excuse as to why we cannot push forward and try the things we want to try in order to learn from them one way or the other. Okay. Sim does work. Don't just press the button and forget about your sim. All right. Sim does help you build a sense of muscle memory that is important for you getting comfortable in your live. The more you take sim seriously, the easier it will become to take a live trade. Okay. All right. Hitting the trader's mindset on the head today. Okay. That was perfect. So we're here for Sunday school and we're going to get into a few fundamentals into peeking into next week. As we do every call, this is our flow to do mindset and then fundamentals. So make sure I got my week on right. We should move into next week. We're good. All right. So Monday, bank holiday. So we're just gonna ease, and our futures traders, we may be able to scoop something up, if the futures does its thing. Tuesday, we have nothing. Wednesday, though, we have the FOMC meeting minutes, which is our chance to look at exactly what was said and pull every single word out with a fine-tooth comb and create headline news that gives anxiety to retail traders like us. And what do as strong-minded retail traders? We ignore it all, all the fluff, and we get straight to the point. All right, we get straight to the point, and we're gonna help us stay straight to the point. We're gonna focus on the charts. Okay. And then we have Thursday coming in this week with unemployment claims, flash manufacturing PMI, and then we'll end the week kind of quietly. All right. And this is a short month, a quiet month, as you guys know. And then we move into the following week as we close out February, just looking for those who close out the month. Just a couple more red folders to close out the month. And nothing really like crazy FOMC, central banks of the world meeting, those type of events happening. Okay. So just going to ease through February. All right. Looking at any headlines that may have came up this weekend, we can just mosey through CNBC and take a look at like what earnings we had this week. But we know the weekends can be quiet. We can get some major headline, but that doesn't always mean that will necessarily affect our market. It just depends on what it is. Companies profitable or not, make 2024. See, this is just blogs type stuff. So, and we know how we ended the week, and we'll get into that when I review the charts to recap the week. If we want to peek at earnings, we'll go to CNBC.com is what the website that we're on. We're going to go to the investing tab at the top, and then we're going to click earnings. And we're going to click the calendar. And we get to view how many earnings or expected announcements are for this upcoming week or each day of the week. And then when you click on that day, of course, it's a Sunday. So if you click on Monday, then your list pulls down and you go over the companies that you like to ensure that you trade their earnings accordingly. So we don't want to forget about earnings. All right. Make sure we peeking at it. Now for your futures and ETF traders, earnings doesn't matter as much. Only certain ones may matter more than others, but still it's overall best to get in the habit of taking a look at what's to come that may shift the market. From there, we're going to move on to Benzinga, another news source that I like. And Benzinga trending headline is about cyber criminals are employing new tactics to launder money. And we're just, when it comes to tech, right? Make sure you, if you don't have a Mac, be careful and cautious in cleaning out web files and things like that with these PCs. They are easily hackable. Just my little 2-cent warning there. Macs they're still hackable. They're just not as easily hackable, I would say, as a PC. All right, top stories. We like to scroll through and see if there's anything worth noticing. Nothing. Give me a second. My dog is rude. She's busting in my office. I'm gonna kick her out. Hold on. All right. So nothing too big to question here as well. So we are all good. All right. Anybody else want to bring up any other headlines based on you guys follow any other news like Yahoo Finance or anything like that? I'll give you guys a moment to express anything that you want to share. And if not, we can go into the charts. Starting with futures, and I'm on the weekly. All right. Here we go. We're going to do a weekly top-down analysis. We won't do the monthly till we get to March. All right. And we're going to observe what happened last week. That's the first thing we're going to do. I hope you guys are doing this every Sunday, okay? With or without the call, but now we get to do it together. I have a clean chart. This is the time I do my homework as well. So here we go. We're going to do it together. All right, weekly top down analysis. We got new all-time highs being made with this weekly candle. Yay! But it's also a doji candle to me, which is why I got the button there, okay? Because it's like, well, it's red. It looks like it has a nice rejection. One thing I want to first note is just look at the candlesticks. We're going to start with just candlesticks before we start looking at other things. All right. And just taking a look at the hammer doji, however you guys you want to call it today. There's a few different names out there for this candle. For this red one, I love to note two candlestick pattern basics. All right. Even though this is like a doji of some sorts, the wicks are pretty much almost equal here, which I want to note because sometimes that shows when the wicks are really equal, you can call them like matching lows or matching highs if they're at the top. It's all in the wicks here. It shows a stronger rejection, kind of like your tweezer bottoms. Your tweezer bottoms are going to be your equal bottoms of the candle bodies, but you can also have matching lows with wicks, okay? So I want to note that, and we have this small little fair value gap here, not a big deal. So that's the first thing I want to know. So this looks like price could keep coming up. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new highs. All right, we have 6 new highs. If you guys have the candlestick deck that I love to refer you guys to, you guys know that there are new price line candlestick patterns, and 8 is our first target. If it makes 8 new price line highs, in this case, then we could begin to suspect a turnaround. That doesn't necessarily mean that now because we have 6, we're going to absolutely have 8. Everything about the stock market is in probabilities. So, but we can't really call this a true reversal yet because it kind of fits within that as well. All right. Is everybody flowing with me on candlestick magic right now? Just candlestick magic. All right. And then, so we have a decision candle to make. We're deciding what this candle means is we're deciding whether we're going to continue up, pull down a little bit, or stall sideways. All right. How do we figure out better which one is most likely going to take place? We're going to put some lines on our chart. We're going to chart support first in this case because we don't really have resistance from this perspective. We don't have resistance. We have nothing up here. And we're going to chart support by identifying our weekly fair value gaps. And the first thing I'm going to do is I see this small one here. So I'm just going to put a line through it. My line is probably going to mark right through it. And because it's on the weekly time frame, I want to identify that it's there. I want to identify that it had the strong, like that red wick is slightly, if I zoom in, y'all can see it. It's slightly longer. But for me on this larger time frame, it is so close. I'm gonna call that, you know, because this is that we need the next candle, okay? So you can kind of look at it like, oh, it's in there, kind of wicked in there. That could be like kids in the fair value gap for my senior traders. Yeah, you're not really wrong there. Because when I go into the smaller time frame, I do think price is going to come down, but I'll get to that later. But you want to note that it could really still reject from this level. You see how small it is? It came back down here. We're still rejecting from this overall level. That's the key thing I want you to recognize. And there's rejection from this level. All right. So in order to break, we would have to break past that. A candle will need to form in such a way that is letting us know that it's coming down to this next fair value gap, which would be our next support. So this first line, I'm going to label it before I get off track. And I'm going to label it as weekly. You can just call it weekly support since that fair value gap is so small. But if you want to go in there and put 2 lines, I'm not because it's so small. You can do 2 lines, but I'm just going to do like weekly support for this one, guys. And I can put in parentheses that there's a fair value gap there. Give me 1 second. All right. I'll put in parentheses that it is supported by a fair value gap. However you guys want to label stuff, that's trader's choice. The next level of support, I'm going to identify the open and close of this lower fair value gap at the 48.73 level. Okay. I'm going to identify the open and close. The reason why I'm calling it an open at the top is because if price were to reverse and come down, it'll be coming down into like the opening of this fair value gap. So I like to make my weekly lines thick, and that's just my preference. And I will label it weekly, fair value gap, open, and it's green for me because green means support as well. And then I'll mark the close of it because once it comes down and hits the bottom, and it's like the close of it, or it hits the floor, or how you want to do a cup. I don't know how you want to visualize or think of it, however you want. Oh, it fell into the rabbit's hole and then it hit the bottom. Hey, you know, as I'm teaching my husband how to trade more and getting into trading view because we're both artistic nerds. So I think Jacinia over there would like interesting candlestick colors too. Y'all know I got this like dark pink and blue thing going on. He got an orange and purple vibe going on. Like y'all color coded up, okay? Get fanciful with it. Whatever works in your mind to remember, that's all that matters. All right. But for me, I keep it green for support. And then my red is going to be resistance. That's just a color coding system that works for me. So every time you guys see my chart, you know what it is. All right. This lower fair value gap down here is below this order block chop. It's trader's choice if you want to mark it. I'll mark the opening of it. So as we zoom in, you guys can see how it forms, but I'm not going to worry about the close because I know that's going to take some strength to get past there. And I'll chart it a little later if price really starts to push down on us. But for now, I am going to just do the open. So weekly, and you could do fair value gap open too. Number one, number two, number three, do what you do, y'all. Okay. All right. That's what I got for the weekly. Nothing at the top because we have no further candle above this current one. All right. Coming down to the daily now. Top down analysis all day, all day. We have all of these weekly lines. And these weekly lines that we have charted are, if you, as you pay attention to the way the candlesticks are kind of flowing through here, everywhere that we marked a weekly is kind of where our daily candles took a bounce, pulled back, took maybe another bounce, and then broke back up and took another bounce and then bounced back up. And it's working out beautifully, right? So from here, we'll chart, we can chart additional support, but let's do a little bit of resistance. We're going to come in and mark the candle wick, the all-time high. If you have the high line there like I do, you don't necessarily need this other line. Right, how did I put that on the chart? Right, this line. So if you right click on the price line bar and you go into lines and then you high and low price lines, it will put that there and you don't have to chart that every time. Expert trader tip. All right. So there we are at the top there. And then you'll make it red. Now, when I come down to the daily, I like to change my line to a dash line that lets me know that I found this on the daily. The solid lets me know I found it on the weekly or the monthly. I still label it accordingly regardless, but it's just something I like to do because on some other charts, sometimes I don't label as much. So yeah, that's just the God honest truth. So we're going to label this daily. You can label it all-time high. Hell with it. All right. Daily, all-time high, all-time. It doesn't really matter. It's the top. But you want to mark it because now this is going to kind of create our trading zone between this weekly support. That's a small little fair value gap at 49.37 area. And the all-time high. So that's what you just got a nice little trading zone in here. And then once price breaks down past this weekly support, then you'll be looking to see what happens within the next trading zone. because usually whatever breaks, if support is broken, it'll usually become resistance. If support is broken, it will usually become resistance. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep that nice and clean. Now we could come down here. You guys, some of you guys be like, Randy, well, this looks like it could be like a double bottom area. Would you want to mark this as support? Not on the daily. Why? Because I'm also a day trader. And as much as I showed you the weekly to set up swing trades for my swing traders in the house, we want a nice setup for my day traders, and they need a 2-hour setup. And with this being so tight and this candlestick rejection, everything about these, all this to me is data letting me know that there's some other things going on the 2-hour that I need to look at, because this may not really, this looks like support and this is great, but what does it really look like when I zoom in and then I recognize a gap? So what I could do here for support before I go to the 2 hours, I can recognize this physical Globex gap that is being a trifling troll. Shout out to Tandra because it's here in the house today. On this gap not filling. so so I am just like, what? So we'll mark it. Purple for me is a gap. And depending on how it's dashed or dotted will depend on what time frame I found it on. And so this is daily. And so I'm kind of marking this gap like that. So that's 49.53 to 49.30. All right. So we have daily gap open. And daily gap close-ish. Now, here's where you're like, I'm taking the Wednesday 31st candle. If you want to actually, you could really take this blue candle I have here, which is, let me click that out. If I hover over, this is a Thursday, February 1st candle to the February 2nd candle. That's really the better gap. Okay. Everything else was created after that. You get what I mean? Does that make sense? Let me know if you're confused. Y'all don't sit and suffer in silence. I tell you that all the time. Cut me off, raise your hand, let me know, because I get in a little ping noise when you raise your hand. So I got you. What looks like a pregnant candle just in there before I go on?
I think I had it wrong because I'm looking at it now and it looks like the feet are out. The one on the 14th, February 14th, 2024. Let me see. Yeah.
I see. It's like you got to squint one eye. I get what you mean.
Yeah, I just enlarged it. It's not because the feet are out, as they say.
Right. Yeah. It's not a perfect one, but I saw it too. The harami. That's what the pregnant is, the harami guys. I didn't see that comment. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see it too. And I see, and this is bullish. That's why if it is one, technically the way the Harami's work, let's just address this a little bit. The way the Harami's work, the colors, this is the only pattern where I think the colors actually matter a little bit, because that's what makes the difference between it being bullish or bearish, is what color came first, because they both, it's no matter what, if it's bullish or bearish, the pregnant lady is always facing to the right. Does that make sense? So where my mama's at. My right side is the side and I'm glowing. It turns to the right. So like, so the baby sticks out to the right. All right. And then if it's red and then the baby's the bullish candle, then it goes up. And then if it's green mama, and then for y'all who have using green and red, if it's a green mama and a red baby, then it's going down. So it's the baby that makes the color. If it's a green baby, it's gonna go up. If it's a red baby, it's gonna go down. Green baby, red baby. Y'all know what I mean? Bullish baby, bearish baby. There you go. Bullish, bearish baby. Um, that's the one. So if you grade out all your candles, I wouldn't like put a lot of trust in it. I'll wait for your confirmation candle and just go from there. I wouldn't worry about it. I was just like, is my third candle telling me which way it's gonna go? Yes or no? Because that's really what matters. Because these fail all the time. Just looking at a candlestick pattern. But red light, green light. There you go. Let's up. All right. So we got the gap here. And with this gap, knowing the future. So this is the futures tip for people who know the futures. Futures don't like to leave, doesn't prefer to leave gaps like this, especially not without a contract change. So I'm kind of like, you need to come back and come for this gap. Especially on a daily. And this gap is not that big. If you were to measure it, it's like $22. Like that's an easy day for futures. And if we were to measure it from where it currently is, to fill that gap is like, what is that? Perfect $91. So like 2 days to fill that gap, and then yay. So it's really easy. Y'all know how futures move. That's 2 days, maybe 3. So it just depends on how we want to move here. Now let's go down. Now that we mark this from the daily, let's go down to the 2 hour and see what all of this mess really looks like, because this is a tight zone that we're in. Based on all the candles, we don't have a really clear run up. We don't have a really clear rundown what is going on. All right. We closed Friday coming down, 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 down. This was Friday was fun to me. I mean, there was a part of you that probably, okay, let's recap for the people who were here on Friday. There was a part of you that, because I was like, okay, it's gonna come down into this, and we were about doggone golly, it was gonna do it like that day, and then it was like, oh no, before the morning was over, it was like all the way back up, and I had stopped myself. I don't know if y'all remember. I was like, well, and I was like, it looks like, I was like, let me not do that, because I know I've seen it go all the way back up like this so many times and just like cancel out everything just to be a douchebag, to then come back and do exactly what it's doing right now. Yay, trading. Just like what? So I actually wrote this down, wrote this back up, then wrote it back down. Yay, Randy. It was like an amazing day. That you talking about, oh God, I'm such a day trader. Okay. It was just fun to do because it was just so clear. If we come to the 15-minute, I gotta calm down. Y'all know I can go off on it. But I mean, look at it. Like this thing just was like, once it got here, I wrote it up. I knew it was gonna finish this candle out, and then I let it finish it out. And then when I got here is when I got back in and I wrote it all the way down to there. Oh, talk about the 15-minute finesse. Yeah. So, and that's because my understanding though that price was probably going to push back down because we got these little kids in the fair value gap, and then they left more kids in the fair value gap, and then it was like you got to take this fair value gap out or what? So a part of me feels like either probably overnight, we could take this out because it's only like what, $12. So I would love for it to, unless it just surprises us and gaps all the way up here, it does something crazy. But even if it does, I can still see it coming down. So we can come down unless the gap's down. That would be well, then I guess it'll be filling it the other way. However it wants to fill, just fill, dag nabbit. And then from there, so let's get some support and resistance from this 2 hour perspective. The first thing I want to do is identify this fair value gap as it comes through here, because once it gets to the bottom of it, I believe that it will bounce. I believe that it will bounce because the bottom of it is supported by a fair value gap. So this is where we'll talk more about fair value gaps and order blocks on this time frame, so we can get a nice clear picture of where price is going for the day traders in the house. All right, so and the night traders in the house and the owls at. Woohoo! That's what I'm gonna call us, the owls, because we're looking at the chart at night. Why? Like crazy. Oh God. I really come up with these things on the fly. Okay, so the fair value gap for me is everything right now. I'm ready. I think I'm still in a short, just waiting on this to come down. Because I just said when it closed like this, I said it most likely will finish. So I just have probably too much conviction in that, but that's me. So I'm gonna wait for this to come down. and we identified our fair value gap. So I can label this as 2-hour fair value gap for those who want to. And you see, I went to my dotted line because I'm on a smaller time frame. Open and close. And then these other one, I'm gonna get to the bottom one, and I know I identified this. Some of you guys may already have it, and that's fine. You don't always have to completely clear your charts. But for the call, I like to give a fresh set of eyes to it. All right. Now, if we go further down, oh no, let's go up first. Let's identify the fair value gap right above current price. Zoom in close. Almost missed this one. It's so small. We have this fair value gap here to the top side. So this is where you're going to start to see more red lines. Whoop, that is not red. And we're going to label it 2-hour fair value gap open to the top now, right? Because we're going up into it, up into the heavens above. And we'll do that, and we'll label this side the close of it. And the reason why I like to label these guys is because it gives me good visuals over here when I'm quickly trying to put in targets. So I could just be like, oh, this is my target 2-hour fair value gap up. Okay, boom, 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 533, boom. Or 5033. It just puts that number there. That's why we do it. Because you won't be coming in here, oh, where that fair value gap close at? Oh, is that 5? What is that? Just put the dog line there. So when you're ready to execute, you can be on it. And you got to waste time. Now, this itty bitty fair value gap up here at the top. All right. It's on a 2-hour time frame. So identify. We whipped all the way through it though, right? Like gunshot wound. But the gunshot wounds work a little bit differently when price is coming up because great all America mindset. We like to have the strongest economy. We want to be the best. Whatever. So we know price will eventually come back up to clear that with a body because it's on the upside, right? But it could take a little bit because we strike through there. So note that. Okay, it's already all the way through. So I can mark the close of this. I don't want too much writing cluttering it as my 2-hour fair value gap close. So that lets me know it's the top, and like that's what price like struck through and got rejected from. So I'll just mark the top line, and then we are coming back down because that's all we got at the top. Because all we got now, we have our daily all-time high, right? So we're good. Then now we're coming down here. You could label this high right here potentially. All right, if you wanted to, because this is like the especially the tops of these candles, you can do it like a 2-hour what do we call it? Like a 2-hour, see, these are almost like a matching high. But that's what I want to identify. And it would be you can call it a peak, you can call it a tweezer top-ish. I don't, 2-hour, whatever. Just mark that that's like a high before you get to the next high over here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me pull this out of the way. You got 2 peaks right here. So that's the daily all-time high up here, right? And this is be the 2-hour high, previous high, turnaround reversal. So I just want to identify that 2-hour. I'm gonna go ahead and just put tweezer top. It's not a perfect one, but it works for my mindset. All right. Yay. Okay, 50.57. All right, and now as we come down to the support side, further down, let's go below our previous fair value gap. So this is supported by an order block because this is consolidation here. Our next fair value gap, the close of it, is 49.72. Why am I pointing out this one? Because we have kids left in it. We struck through this first one, but we came through to the second one. And we didn't really finish it out. So I'm curious to see just how far down here we get. I'm not betting on this closing 100%. It can act funny. As we're coming down to the gap, as you see, this is our daily gap. So it's coming down. It would have to come down and bounce off of this 2-hour fair value gap close. Fair value gap close. Right. And we do need to get the kids, but we also know it's down. Do we want to pop up? I'm not sure, but we do have a lot of liquidity down here. And for me, this is the signal that it probably wants to pull down here for multiple reasons. So here is where you got to find multiple confluence. So first you're like, well, it's at the bottom. It's just kids. Maybe it come up and bounce up. That's one idea. So check that one off. But as we zoom out here, we want to remember the whole picture. So as we say that to ourselves, we want to say, but wait, is there more? Yeah, could it bounce here? But could it actually come for it? Well, what else is below it? Well, we got a daily gap that you guys remember from the daily, got a lot of wicks through it and no body. Here are the wicks. Here's one wick, here's another wick, right? That's going through it. And in a sense, we can almost look at this zone with the fair value gap in here, right? So we have this lower fair value gap that was rejected through with tweezer bottoms. Price came back and left a wick lower than the tweezer bottom. And then price came back and left an even lower wick than the previous wick, but not quite all the way through here to the very low at like 49.20 area, right? What makes me a little have a little bit of belief that this price is going to come through this gap is because how it's interesting how price just sat on this fair value gap. It's just kind of weird. It didn't really show you want to leave kids in and reject it. You just kind of sat there, and that has been bothering me since it happened. And so I'm like, and I know, and it's right below the gap. You see what I'm saying? It's right below the daily gap, our purple lines, and I'm just like, we'll see. I'm gonna just leave it as an anticipation. We'll see. We'll see how we bounce off this gap. In this gap, it's weekly fair value gap support as well. We see our weekly line cutting straight through there. So we want to be careful. It's daily upon weekly. And we have this wick here. Could we get like a little strike through? Is that a signal or am I reading too deep in it? We'll hold off, but just know it's there and it's been bothering me. But we know that we have kids in the fair value gap here. We know we got liquidity because we have a physical gap. And we know that if we come right through it, we'll be bouncing off a weekly support level and coming back up. And this will still be in our trading zone, right? So in order to push further past this weekly fair value gap, it would need to come all the way through and leave some type of a further indication, I think, into one of these two fair value gaps that price wants to continue down and continue all this liquidity into this weekly fair value gap down here at the bottom. I will need confirmation, strong rejection, bearish candle patterns from the top side confluence as well, because that's another level of confluence that's at least telling me price is going to come to close, potentially close or really close to closing this 2-hour fair value gap, because we have a very emish looking pattern going on right now. We have two peaks here. This second peak is lower than the first peak. We have price coming down really strong within this second peak. It made its own head and shoulders. I don't know if you guys see that. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Okay, but here's the head and here's the shoulder. If you squint one eye, you can kind of see it. All right. And all of that lets me know that price is going to push down a little bit, close this first 2-hour fair value gap for sure. And then depending on how it looks here, it will continue down and take the next one. And I can probably add additional confluence with that by pulling the Fibonacci. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this chart like this. I'm not going to pull Fibonacci across this candlesticks and give y'all cross-eyed. I'm going to go to the specific contract 2-hour chart, and I will pull the swing low and swing high from here. Now, I'm gonna pull it. You see how the high and low would almost like you want to pull it this way. You could pull it, you could do that. Let's do both and let's see what happens. Okay. The way my instinct is telling me to pull it is to use this bottom wick, yes, the low, but to only come as far as the most recent high. Okay. That means price is gonna, if I pull the Fibonacci like this, that means price is gonna come through and retest the 50 at the close of that fair value gap. That's $10. That's the first $10 that we all want tonight. Yes, I said it tonight, dagnabbit. We getting that money now, right now. Okay. So we are convinced with the Fibonacci that price will continue down through here, right? Now, once it gets to the 50, we know that it can stall and we know that it's supported by an order block. This is some nice consolidation here. So we will need some type of consolidation, some type of signal that let us know it's going to continue down, break through. It could all do it in one sweep too. Hey, it's done it before because it's kind of like a slope here. And I've seen it do on these slopes. It just comes, it takes it out. And that will be right in alignment with the fib. I've seen the fib come do a straight line through the 38, the 50, and the 61, as it may strike even through the 78 and then bounce up from there. Especially since we have a nice rejection wick from the 100, right, percent. So we'll see how that goes, if it's going to continue down this way, and see what happens when we get to the 78 and 1. We're going to wait here. We're not going to trade beyond this point. We're going to see what price wants to do. Okay. We'll take a breath, y'all. If we draw it the other way, based on the high and the low, I would just kind of, it's funny how it's moving like that, like depending on how I stretch the chart. Y'all see that, right? All right. So it depends on how you have the chart out. But if you see how when I move it and I bring in new lows, it moves it. So based on my visual right now, and that's where you want to keep it current price, you could do it that way. You can take this high and come down this way, and it gives you the same. When it's a nice trading range like it is, it usually fares out to be roughly the same. So price is coming down to its 50. Once it hits the 50, it will bounce potentially or strike all the way through. And then at this point, you're reading it kind of in an inverse way. Since we pulled it going down, it will be the 23% to the 0. We will wait and see. This is why I kind of keep a standard color pattern in my Fibonacci. When you first open it, it's all over the place with every line being a different color. I like my 50 to be red because it's like that's the middle, boom. And then as you see, each equivalent outside of that is the exact same on either, exact same color on either side. So my 38 and my 61 same color, my 23 and my 78 same color, and then my 1 and my 0 same color. So to me, it don't matter which way you flip it. I did that on purpose because I don't want to be, oh, it's the 78. And then my psychology be all over the place. At the end of the day, we know price does nice little back and forths. Okay. And then, of course, my projection lines, though, that's where my other colors come in. All right. And even then, I still did borderline equivalents as well. Not completely equal because this is 1.68 and this is the -1, but similar color scheme for my psychology, y'all. All right. So if price were to break outside of that, outside of the 1 or outside of the 0, you could have some sort of idea where price may be going to next with the extended projection levels that I've added on to my Fibonacci. But I hope that helps you guys see the immediate move from my day traders on where price is going and where you want to scoop up $10 on ES. All right. You may even call this the head and this the shoulder. Will this be the next? I don't know how this wants to work. Whatever. The price looks like it's about to come down. I can't see it any other way in this immediate moment. So, yeah, that's futures all the way through top down. So now that we got the basis, we're gonna move through these other ones. As far as SPY, and I cleaned all my charts. So here we go, because now we want to instead of clean them and then they won't leave drawings on. I hate when it does that. It's just like you're making me look like a liar, and I'm not. So we can do SPY the same way weekly. We know the weekly is going to have this, but we can just get in here and quickly color code it out and do what we got to do and chart it up, top down analysis. for those swinging potentially. This gap is a little bigger. It's interesting. I want to see how that shows up. And that's a physical gap there. See, SPY be having physical gaps. Ain't nobody got time for these gaps. This is all on the weekly. Okay. 483 is a physical gap. And then that close of that gap would be right here. 482. All right. I'm kind of doing this different because it has those physical gaps in it. So I took the fair value gap, yes, but this one has a physical gap and a fair value gap. So the close of the fair value gap down here, I will make green. 478. Weekly fair value gap close. Daily. Oops. Oh, look how that weekly came out. Look at that. That's so beautiful. I love it when it just does things like I need it to do. Okay. So from the daily perspective, oh my God, gaps on gaps on gaps. Okay. For my SPY people, here we go. Let's start with support above that weekly 490. So we got this abandoned baby right here. And if we really look at the gap is from February 6th to, look out that, February 7th. I'm going to change the colors in the lines and just give me a second. All right, 496 to 494 is the gap. And that gap includes this abandoned baby. All right. So if you can imagine the gaps being filled with lines here, that's that same M on that's being formed-ish on SPY. I mean, yes, Lord of mercy on SPY, Randy. Blah, 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 blah. Now we see this little gap right here, 498, as we come back up to current price. 499, a little tiny one. Okay. That we wick through a bit. And we probably want to put a candle through it. We probably will. At least short term tomorrow, right? So go down first. And then how it wants to continue through here, saying that this is a daily fair value gap. Lord have mercy, this chart's already getting messy. I don't like it. I don't like it. There's too many gaps. Daily fair value gap. Close. Gaps on gaps on gaps. All right. And then I'll label this one dead because when I go to the 2, I'm about to be lost. Daily gap. Close. And then I know that's the open. I need this one to be the open. Nope, not that one. This one. Gap open. Because this gap is bigger. So close. All right. Daily gap. Close. All right. 2 hour. Lord Jesus. The gaps, man. All right. So everything about SPY to me looks like it's coming down. As well, how it wants to play off these gaps, I don't know. The future is going to be able to write that story for us tonight, and you'll be able to better tell which way you can play SPY in well, not tomorrow, but Tuesday. And there, when SPY comes back on, to figure out which way you want it to go based on where the futures carries it from, the holiday. So I will pause and wait because you have no idea where it's going to go. And I can't really call a clear move on this because I know how abandoned babies work. Abandoned babies prefer to get eaten, but knowing the holiday and stuff like that, I think that's really going to play a factor in where SPY lands when we come back on Tuesday. All right. That's the thing about all of this. We got, the futures will move a little bit for us, and then we'll see what happens. And I don't think it's going to move much. It's a holiday. So, but then you have that overnight into Tuesday, right? So then that's when things pick up again. And then, yeah. So just keep that in mind that it's not like immediate tomorrow. But if we can practice anything tonight, we will. I just want to encourage you guys as much as I can. That's a split view. All right. So let's recap the rest of the week and do a little bit of charting for the other tickers that we love on my watch list. And then if you guys want to bring up any others, we of course can. And we'll go from there. All right. So from SPY, we'll go to Netflix. Weekly. All right, Netflix. I cleared it because we can go over it again for everybody who, refresher. But we're going to mark this weekly fair value gaps. That's the first thing we're going to do because this chart has a lot of candlesticks left at the top here. So we're going to come in and we're going to mark that. I just want to change colors here and lines. And these are weekly lines because they're solid. And that's that weekly fair value gap to the top. And of course, we have support at the bottom. So we'll change this green. I know that looks kind of confusing from this perspective, but you want to mark it. And you have the open and the close from the weekly. And I'll leave that there because price is sitting right in the middle of it. So we come down to the daily. And we have gaps that are supporting the bottom, which is lovely. I'll take this bigger gap first at the 566. And technically the close of that gap, because I don't count the wicks, is at 554. We know this is a nice little flag pattern that's happening here. So it's just a matter of time for Netflix to finish the close of this weekly fair value gap and getting in, if you already got in when it pulled back, I would have been a great trade back up. And lots of opportunities when the candles jump around to get back in and hold longer for that move to come up and finish at 602. Our weekly fair value gap, open and close, right? These two solid green lines are supported by another larger gap down below. So because this part of the weekly fair value gap at the top, this resistance one, is also within this, I'm going to leave that line there because that's closing that bottom gap at 544. Okay. And I will just mark this other one, just another line that's in between these two lines to show the distance. Okay. And then I'll leave that 496 because I highly doubt it will get back down there. But at least right away, at least not before hitting this top. I'll say that first. I think it wants to finish the top first before coming back down. All right. And that is really Netflix. So Netflix is what I think you need to buy some time on. So I don't really come in here and scalp it much. But if you wanted to, I know this turnaround looks like it's really coming down. It may only come down to finish at fair value gap, but this is a nice little slide here. So we'll see how it wants to bounce around entering into next week with the holiday and things like that as it tries to build the momentum to get all the way up to 602. So if you do want to scalp it, there's room. I just don't normally scalp it, but there is room to play. There's fair value gaps that in wicks left in fair value gaps. So please buy time and patience for some of the tickers. You don't have that overnight move all the time. You got to think of earnings and news and actors doing crazy stuff when it comes to Netflix. So pay attention to how it moves. My kids in the fair value gap thing works. So it works a lot on futures based on the fact that futures moves overnight. So just be cautious as you're playing on the tickers because it may surprise you. Okay. If they get something unexpected. All right. That's Netflix. All right, let's go back out to weekly. Let's go to Lily. All right, so Lily did the damn thing for the last couple of weeks, been doing the damn thing for the last couple of weeks. So all we can do is just mark, the fair value gaps again from the weekly. Now this one, a little stinker. I'm gonna include the gap on it from the weekly perspective. Just call it a day. And then when I come down in the daily, because I know it has that gap and gap issue, I can come from the daily and put the open and the open of the gap from the daily perspective on there because it's in between the fair value gap. All right. And then I can continue to chart a little bit more support by identifying this fair value gap here as a daily fair value gap and include the Globex gap when it comes to Lilly. Just it's easier because you're gonna come down to 2 hour. And here we are. So, and then the 2 hour, we finally got it to look like it actually wants to pull back a little bit, Lily. You're gonna take a breath, Jesus Christ. So we can mark the top from the 2 hour. All right. And then God, these gaps. Let's do this will be entering. So mark the entry of this because Lily on that BS right now, and Lily gonna be like, oh, I don't want to take the fair value gap to the downside. I'm just keep going up. So I will mark the open of this fair value gap because it looks like it could enter into it, but if it doesn't want to, it won't. And I'll put an alert on it for my day traders who are gonna day trade this. So I will mark that opening, definitely. Because it could bounce. Yes, ma'am. Esther.
You know, I have to have something to say about this, right?
Yeah, I know.
Lily, killing me. So my question is, are we also going to make a serious note of this gap, this physical gap on the daily chart? Yeah, it's pretty scary. And it's pretty
So on
awesome
the
looking. I mean,
daily, it's like it closes. Okay, so it's from the 2 hour and daily. I know it's like the same. So let me come back and get it from the 2 hour. So I'll like that. And then from the daily, it looks like this. All right. So you can, you know, I believe that it should want to come pull back down here, but I just don't know when because I don't know if it wants to leave that and do just one more. I don't know what Lily want to do.
I'm just so blown away by what it's already done. You know, like I stutter talking about it. So I mean, I personally think that the lowest it's going to come is going to tempt that gap. It's going to come to that 771 and it'll bounce off of that. And it's going to bounce back up again. I don't even know if it's going to come that low. To be honest, I don't even know if it's going to be able to come that far into the fair value gap. But if it's looking for liquidity, I think that's what it'll do.
Right, and that's a if because this can't where it closed right now. That's no guarantee.
Well, and look at the other side of that gap, right? The 759, 758.98. There's an order block right here. I mean, all those little candles right here,
I know.
right? I would consider that an order block. So buy zone, whatever you want to call
and
it.
it
But
just broke out.
Yeah.
So I don't expect this to be like I agree, not a reversal that fast. It just seems kind of weird. But you know what? Things surprise us.
I was gonna say, but it's a stock market, so we have no idea what we're talking about. So yeah. Well, it's going to be a weird week, and I think like it's not going to affect Lily. Lily might be a really good thing to watch to trade because Walmart, Home Depot, Nvidia are all reporting this week, and those are they have such a substantial portion of the S&P and such a big impact on the actual market and the sentiment and the greed factor and the fear factor. So I feel like Lily's going to be one of those fun rebels that we could be like, Lily don't care what everybody else is doing. It's just going to move.
It hasn't been caring all week. That's why Alyssa, silent deadly swiper.
I love her. Yeah, seriously,
came in and killed Lily last week.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, see, I guess so. I'll make you laugh. So Thursday at the end of the day, it was Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day at the end of the day, I was like, oh, I shouldn't be trading. I told myself I wasn't going to trade today. I saw Lily and I was like, you know what? I'm just for shits and giggles. I'm going to jump in sim. I'm jump into a call, and they were hella expensive. I set a target order, and the next day I got filled on Friday actually. And it filled me, it was TradeStation, so it filled me higher than I anticipated, which was awesome. But if I had held it and I was closing it right now,
Mhm.
that one contract would have been profited $1,900.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the joys and pains of day trading, right? Like you take it and you're happy with your piece, or you look at what could have happened, right? Look at that. Look what Lily did. So it just becomes a conversation about, right, what's your trading plan, and what are you happy with accomplishing? And Lily just moves really fast. So if you're gonna sit in front of it and if you're gonna watch it while the rest of the market's having a seizure, Lily's a fun trade. Yeah.
Agree. Lily was the true rebel. Lily was a rebel to the upside, for sure. While like Adobe did the greatest plummet to the downside,
Adobe's in a
while everything
doghouse.
else just
Yeah.
kind of stalled and gave us just
Right.
didn't want to really do too much. I can skip to Adobe and come back up, y'all. But Adobe was really like, what in the heezy for she? Look at this weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. The
Mm-hmm.
whole week.
Oh my God.
Adobe was like, yeah, nah. So Adobe
Sadly, Adobe is
came.
a really easy way to blow up your account
Nah, if
in
you're not
in one
careful.
direction or the other, right?
But
Like
this was a true descending, like it was coming down. It gave all the signals. I just didn't know it was
uh,
gonna do that on Friday. That was
no,
insane.
that's insane.
43 points on Friday.
That makes my heart hurt. Yeah, no, I can't.
And
Definitely
it's
not.
not done because of where it stopped. Like it's not done. It's gonna take this whole thing out. It's too much liquidity. So I'm just like, just gonna finish eating it. And just gobble all that up. All the way to the abandoned baby that's right in there. Y'all see it? So it's a great short.
It might even with that bottom fair value gap of 520. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my God.
I agree. I totally see it coming all the way down here. Okay, let's do it weekly. Okay, come
And
on.
sadly, there's a little voice in my head because Adobe has lost me tons of money over the past 2 years, and
Yeah, but
I've
okay,
made
so
money
from
too,
the weekly
but
perspective,
yeah.
all right, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's do this. So I know it can burn us, but it was stalling for a while. That's why I stopped trading it because this was awful. So I didn't, if it ain't moving, it can burn you. Now that it's chose a direction, I know most likely the way this looks is this trying to retest this order block. It's gonna at least bounce here, so I can get into deep candlesticks on this one because it's so messy to let you know where the next scalp is. All right, so it's gonna be when it does a quick like breakout and then turn around M. Right, so it's like it's still doing that W to M like order laps. This is a tight zone. And it's probably gonna turn into something else, but I ain't worried about it right now. Right now, with this candlestick, it's probably gonna bounce off this weekly candle before hitting the bottom of it if it chooses to do so to come down further down here. So 535 and then 516, right? And then it's beating the hell out of this fair value gap. So at this point, I don't know what you want to do. With this strong of a candle, Marubutu candle, that's like the sellers are in control of Adobe right now. It may want to come like through this and then create what it needs to come back up because we never finished the top. So this is my weekly candle top. Yeah, at 651. Right? So it bounced through here, it left weight, it got higher. So we have a higher high, so it gotta come back up in here. It's just like that move on the futures, that dumbass move that the futures do when it's like a 2 hour fair value gap that comes so close and it just doesn't freaking finish it before it plummets all the way down and comes back up later by the end of the day. It's one of them. It's one of them on the weekly though. So like, so you really gotta plan this out. It's gonna take a little bit. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's doing that is on that BS. And we can cue that Chris Brown. Don't you be on that bullshit. Cause that's what it's on. It's just on it. So I think we're gonna come down here and potentially bounce around. And I mean, we don't need much with Adobe. That's the great thing. So when you see kind of signs like this, you could just scalp it right quick and just be done with it because you know that it could burn you like that, right? So like coming down here, that's $11 just to 535, and then it gives you the wick signal that you need to finish down let's just take the second from here to here, because it'll probably bounce back up, give you a nice little arm up here. So if it comes down, then that's another $17. And y'all know how the flow goes. So we come into weekly, and then we can do daily at the top here. This just fell so bad. So this is a daily fair value gap. We can mark that. And as we have yet to close this bottom, and y'all know how Adobe like to gap overnight. Adobe like to gap like a mug overnight, like just on some crazy stuff. So don't be surprised if it like come and eat all this, and then we got a whole crazy run up. Like this, I don't know what Adobe want right now, but as it's coming down here, I don't think it's gonna bounce off of this line. I just don't. I really don't. But we can mark it, sure.
So wait,
544.
it did that move this last candle in one day?
Yeah. Yeah, it did $43 on Friday.
You got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh. I sure hope somebody was in a put on that one.
I wasn't looking at it. I came back to it midday and I was like, yeah, I just threw my hands up. I just Adobe I wasn't gonna jump into that.
Was there news that sent it down?
Yeah.
There was news that sent it down. Okay.
I
miss you guys so much. I can't wait to get back in here. Oh. I miss y'all so much.
Adobe did the Adobe thing to
Oh
the
my
downside.
God.
Yeah.
Adobe,
Yeah.
we need to get back to Adobe making us money.
It may just like this when I see long candles like this. Oh yeah, come on, Adobe. All I need is a good signal. Give me a nice cradle.
That's it. We could have just wrote it for just a few ticks there on there. I mean, we didn't even need the whole 40 something. Wow.
You really only need like $5 with Adobe.
That's it. That's $5. That's a good profit. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
you guys ought to see me. I just have to say, while I'm sitting in class, I'm sitting watching y'all in the chat. I'm like, so I don't care. So I miss the all-time highs and everything.
It's all right.
Yeah.
There's no FOMO. This market's still here for you, girl. There's money to be made. Yeah. And the order blocks and the fair value gap. So there's always money.
Yeah.
So so as it comes down, I think it's just gonna eat all this up. Like I really do. I don't think it's stopping. I think it's coming to 535 before we get any sign of a bounce. And it may even wick further than that just because this is such a small gap and it's abandoned, baby. All of this says liquidity. All of that says liquidity, like 530. Like, and then when we get to 530, because y'all know it can be at 530 by Tuesday, and then we'll be doing this move. Oh, this is amazing. This is a great trading zone though for Adobe. I ain't gonna lie. Like if you get a wide trading zone, okay, I don't care how long it's going sideways. It just gives you nice runs to just get some money out of. And Adobe is a great one to do. Adobe can be reasonably priced as long as it's coming up to earnings, so be careful. Earnings was the earnings date. This is March 14th. So the closer it gets to earnings, more inflated things are gonna go. So if you're gonna do Adobe, do it now, because when an inflation comes on, it's just ridiculously expensive. So that's just my 2 cents there with Adobe. But I will leave the chart like this. You guys can screenshot it, whatever, I'll put the video up. But I think this is great. And then of course you'll come down on the 2 hour and find some other levels. But right now it's still just pushing down. So there's really not much else to chart here until price starts moving again. Really, I would just leave it like this. I'll hold Adobe overnight real quick for this candle. Oh, I can't wait to come back for that candle. Please come back for that candle. Because look at it on a 2 hour. You got like hardly anything in the way. There's no green can. There's like nothing. There's just, and especially this one. Oh, give me that fat ass 2 hour. Give it to me. I'm taking all $24 of that 2 hour fair value gap. But write it down. Write it down. Put alert. Write it. Definitely coming back.
How much time are you buying, Randy?
I don't know. I gotta wait. I gotta get a reversal first, Esther.
Yeah. No, I mean, but even for the put, like I'm thinking about Tuesday.
If we did a put, I would do for Adobe. I play it safe. I like 2 weeks to a month minimum. If I'm gonna
They're
hold
just
it just
really
for a day,
expensive.
if you,
Uh-huh.
but if you're gonna do a day, then come
Right.
in. If you only gonna do a day, then go no more than like a week or two out.
Okay.
If you're just trying to do swipe,
Hmm.
that's what
Right.
you thinking, like a day trade.
Well, I'm thinking it's gonna go right down to 435,
I mean 5:35.
probably Tuesday, 5:35, Tuesday. Like I can't see it not doing that. If the market, if everything is kind of like,
Still pummeling.
you know,
Yeah, I agree. And let's just see where it opens at. We'll talk about it because it's kind of hard
All right.
right now for me to say
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because
But
I don't know where it's
they're
gonna like
expensive.
open at. My fear is it opens at 5:35.
Yeah, me too. Oh well. Oh well, there's another trade somewhere, right? So
Well, the gap back up.
right. That's fair. That's
So,
fair. I don't know. These options are really expensive though. I mean, I'm looking at March 1st, 545 put, still $1,500.
okay,
1490. So,
it's on
and
fire right now.
that's with just a little time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, look at Friday's candle. So yeah.
I know. I was like, let's leave it's looking at it right now. That's when I'm like, let's look and see what settles by Tuesday because you know
Yeah.
the price is going to flux. So let's just
Oh, yeah.
see and how out of the money you can go and things like that, and we'll come in and
Yeah.
find a good contract we can play.
Let's see how many algorithms get triggered by this horrible move on Friday though.
This is
Right. Because it could bounce and be like, see you all doing puts and I'm going up.
yeah, Alyssa, good point. You definitely
Yeah.
can still go out of the money and make money. I do it all the time. Actually, that's my MO now. I usually only go in the money when if I'm doing, so this is just my 2 cents, John. I know everybody's capital is different. If I have a really small account, I'm always playing out of the money. There's no other way to play. If you're playing with less than $1,000, really is to really play out of the money on some of these things. But if you have a little bit of capital, I play in the money when I'm day trading, and I play out of the money when I'm trying to hold over because I know price is coming to me. So if I'm swinging it, I'll play out of the money and wait as it comes closer and closer, closer. If I'm day trading, I'm in the money because this is just easier to be in and out. All right. But I can still be out of the money and be in and out as well on a smaller account. That does not void out that you can't be in and out of the money on a small account because I've done it as well. I do it with SPY all the time to build up my small account all the time. Take my little $20, get out. Take my little $40, get out. All right. All right. But with SPY, I play monthly contracts. I'm gonna tell y'all, like with SPY, I play monthly contracts even if I'm not gonna hold it very long. Because it's just a better profiting contract than the weeklies a lot of times with SPY. And I'm pretty sure somebody can co-sign that same sentiment for me. All right, that's just the SPY thing only. Everything else has different numbers of contracts and stuff. All right. It's 6:15. I want to prioritize. I can go on forever. I can finish the watch list out. We can keep going. But if y'all want to prioritize any tickers, for those of you who may want to do something else, get off a call, and you want to get to some tickers that you want, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we can prioritize those. I'll go to Apple, of course, because it's fan favorite. I'm about to kick Apple in teeth. I kind of don't want to look at it, but I'll do it because it's fan favorite. Oh my God. Apple looks like the ugliest cup and handle ever. Where my experienced cup and handle viewers at? This is just from the weekly. Let me just what in the heezy faux cheesy is this? Y'all like how I do that with a cup and handle. I know y'all do.
I love it.
do.
So based on that, it should head back up.
Yeah, but it's on that bullshit. It's not that because this handle, man, is looking very bearish.
The handle does look bearish because the handle should be a progressive. It did something weird there because it looks very image.
I don't like it. I want you. All right, so fair value gaps here. We go on the weekly. Let's see. We got this one, 175. The close of the one that we're currently bouncing is 177. The open of the next one is 175, more like 176. And then the close is 173. And then if we blow below 173, then this whole pattern is a fail. And I don't know, I guess we're heading towards this next order block, right? Because there ain't like this red candle ain't about to do much. I guess it can do a little bit since it's peaked right there. So let's see. I can just put that as weekly support if it keeps coming. I want that red candle in it though, because that's I know where things are stalling at. Like, yeah, y'all can see that how it's like leveled out. So I can just put this as like bottom weekly support. I don't know. First bottom weekly support. I'll just do weekly support for right now. See if it even breaks that fair value gap. Close here.
So Randy, I'm sorry, I kind of was doing dual things at the beginning. So is your overall sentiment that the market is pulling back some or?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just
It's
checking.
just pulling back to go up. I don't think it's a reversal. I
Right.
can't call a reversal yet, right? So, let me see, where do I want to put resistance at? So we left, this is a weekly. I'm gonna just acknowledge this as an old weekly fair value gap. Well, not, yeah, let's do the whole thing. There's a smaller one in here though. I don't want to do this. Apples is so ugly. It is driving me. It just makes me not want to look at it. It just, well, weekly fair value gap close. Weekly with too many E's, Randy. And then this little one right here. Y'all see that one? 191. Okay. So we got, all right, give me a second. I gotta think. Because the chart is just kind of confusing me right now as well. How do I want to do this? So this one's like an open weekly. Because I feel like I gotta see what that looks like on a daily. That's why I want to mark it. Weekly, tiny, fair value gap, open. Yeah, tiny. We're gonna add the word tiny in there. And then we're gonna label this one as like weekly. I guess I'll just leave it as an open. But I know what price is going through there like that, but it's just kind of, and it's just still there. Because it's still there. It was formed back here. It's still there because there's not a body through it. And that's why it's still there. And then based on this indicator, that's how this indicator works. And then the top of this, I don't know if I want to mark that from the weekly perspective. I think I want to come in here from the daily and get something in here. So I'm just going to leave this as weekly fair value gap. Close here. And then leave it like that. Apple's so ugly. All right, so then there's a gap at the top. Which is great. A daily gap at 185. And that gap closes at 187. And then this candle here, I can mark as a daily low. I'll take the, I don't know how I want to do this. The reason why is because usually when this is like next to something else, I'll take the daily close, which I probably should just stick to in this moment. The body and not the wick, but I want to keep an eye on where that wick is lining up here and how is it, because it's in between. The crazy thing is it's in between these two fair value gaps. It's just so bonkers to me, and it's making me feel like price may want to still come down here, like past it, to be honest with you, because it's like right in the middle. And when I come to the 2 hours, the reason why I want to acknowledge it. So that's my thought process. Okay, there you go. Boom. Keep it transparent. So, with this daily candle body close, or a candle, not really a close, but yeah, this the candle body. I'm just gonna put the body because I know it's at the bottom because it's a support line. But yeah, so well, I guess I can use the low to help me. I don't want to put too many lines on the chart. Okay, so that low's still there. Yay. All right. So as price come down on a 2-hour, this is where things are like sticky for me because this candle usually will help keep price up, candles like this. So that's why I'm like, and as you can see, as Apple is falling yet kind of confusing, it's hard to tell. And then when you come to 15-minute, when the candle is still just as long. So it's not really like, and then you come to 3-minute and you're trying to find what's holding up, Lord have mercy. And then you're just like, this block is holding up, and you have these little candle wicks within here playing around with price. Lord Jesus, like this. Dashed, dotted, dotted. Okay. And if we come back out to the 2-hour and then zoom back over the current price. All right. There you go. And you don't find it till you get to the 3-minute. And you got to dissect this candle. So it's like, do you want to finish it because you want to trust a larger time frame? Or are these 3 minutes good enough? Like, just remember that you got it from 3-minute. So it was like a candle wick, I think that was here. Label it accordingly, y'all. But yeah, from the 3-minute. And I am just like, I want to believe Apple wants to come back up and acknowledge this a little bit, but I am not sure how far it wants to come down and maybe test the bottom. I'm leaving Apple completely alone for now. That's just how I feel. I do think it's coming down, but I don't have a clear trade, so I'm gonna leave it alone. All right. Nvidia going to the moon and just kind of stalling right here at the moment. Look at that weekly doji. That was just great. That is a perfect spinning top for you. Okay. Or like perfect doji. Like, I don't know. Are we gonna keep going to the moon? Or are we gonna go back down? We have a lot of liquidity back there. How many highs is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the weekly. Here we go again. I don't know if it wants to give us 8, but the way Nvidia looks like it may want to just give us 8. It just may want to do it. And the earnings is Wednesday. It gives it more reason why it may just want to do it. Who knows? But because the rest of the market is falling, we could have a bit of more of a pullback to come close this gap, come to this daily fair value gap here. Or this chart, we'll start with the daily because there's so much run up on the weekly. So we'll just kind of start with the daily here. And we'll acknowledge our our fair value gap here. And we can acknowledge the physical gap if you want to acknowledge the close of it. I wouldn't really worry about the open since it's already pushing down. And just to know if it's going to bounce there at 721. And if it can pull through 708 and maybe actually give us a nice pullback to the entry of this gap at 682. I don't know if it has the power to do that, but hey, maybe. All right. AMD looks a hot mess. Weekly, it's still kind of chopping here. If you want it, you guys know exactly what to do as well as far as charting it up. All right. I take both in this case, they're so close. And when I come into a small time frame, you can kind of acknowledge that physical gap in there. But AMD is at highs. That's trying to make new highs at some point. But this looks like a crazy flag right now. And I've been leaving AMD alone. That's your daily trading range right there. From 184 to 164. Until we break out of here, I don't want nothing to do with it. XOXL took profit last week to reposition. as it is slowly making its way up here. Here's a weekly that XOXL left us. All right. So it came up to that candle weekly high that I had projected it to, 41.25. I needed to break here to clear this fair value. I mean, this order blockish looking area, and to revisit this weekly fair value gap at 47. That's what I'm waiting on. And I am finessing my way to it as it pulls back. So as it pulls back, I'm still convinced that it wants to still come up here. It just needs to just keep building up. So that's the weekly. I can put support down here, 28. This fair value gap, 33 to 28. Come down to the daily. Our current trading zone is 41 to 33. We have this gap in here. I didn't buy a put. I just said I'll wait. Okay, we have that small gap. That price may come down, and we have a lower one. So if price wants to get violent, you know, it can come down to close out this lower gap. So it can bounce off, gap close 1 and gap close 2 is kind of what I would gap close. All right. And gap close 2. All right. And so once I'll probably put alert there, because once it gets there, I'll go back in for the same call in May and play it back up while it continues to snake around or whatever the heck it's doing. And I just got a lot of patience with XOXL. I do not see it doing it anytime fast. And we know it has a very small ATR. All right. Walmart, I'm just waiting on split. Okay. Waiting on split, waiting on split. This is how the weekly close. Made a nice little high with this candle. Has a nice cradle here. I believe it would want to continue up from this, but I know that price at any moment can pull back further down into this weekly fair value gap candle. Just keep that in mind. All right. What will you do after Walmart? I haven't decided yet. That's a good question. I don't know if I want to keep trading it or not. I really don't know. I'm just like, take the split, and if it looks good, keep it. If it doesn't, sell it. Like, I don't know. Oh God. I'm probably gonna trade it up. I think it may want to like run up a little bit. So I'm kind of seeing what profit I can take on it. That's where my sentiment is going looking at this. The candlestick patterns and stuff. There's not much to chart from the daily perspective. So you can acknowledge this little daily one if you want. Sure, yay. It's small, but as long as you see it. Fair value gap. And of course the high is like the high. So there you go. All right. I skipped over a few. I kind of want to take a peek back at futures since it's 6:30 and give y'all the setup. I think we missed HD and CAT tonight. I think we kind of looked at everything else. So let's take a look back at the futures and see how it's been cooking these past 30 minutes. So I'm going to drop down immediately to the 2-hour from where we left off in our lines and where we charted. And so from here, price has opened and ran up into the little 2-hour fair value gap, which is what we kind of suspected because it was right there. That's why we marked it, right? And this is the candle that is going to let us know if there are kids going to just be left in it or not. Okay. So this is the candle. How this closes in the next 2 hours is going to let you know, or hour and a half is going to let you know, whether we're probably going to leave this now or later. We can probably even close this tonight and come back up. I don't know how it wants to move. how much money is that to the left side? $12 up. Okay. So we know if we close it, right, then we'll definitely most likely be turning around to come down because of this nice long wick here. If we wick it and just leave a wick in it, then we know we have to leave the kids. We have to leave them. So that means our next candle should come down. So we can come and get this fair value gap, the lower one at 50.13. All right. So at this point, we're just setting alerts because I don't know how it wants to do it. Because it can leave it and take it. I don't know how it wants to do it. So I can come to the 15-minute and try to get a better idea of how it wants to do it. Because now we see that within this 2-hour fair value gap, we got a nice little order block here. And we got a teeny tiny 15-minute fair value gap. That price may come up here and be done with it and come back down. Now, the reason why I'm already saying that may not happen, this may do a stupid small W to M thing, is because of how this is already rounded. And it'll go this, and it'll come back down here, and it'll make another leg, and then it'll close this. Or it can even close this in making the leg down and then come back up and then wick further up here. I need to see if it's gonna and that will be closed in the 2-hour. So it's all about a matter of, and trying to catch this current 2-hour is gonna be a close one because you're either going to take it now and trust that it's gonna go up here and test this, and believe that this order block is gonna do nothing. Or you're gonna wait and see if it comes back down a little bit more first, then get in and wait for a little more data to let you know, okay, yes, it's gonna actually come up and close the 2-hour, and that's what I would do. I would wait till 8 o'clock. Because that's usually when you get a little bit more data down here to say, okay, it's actually coming, it's coming. If you missed it, we missed it. That's okay. Because then we'll have the data up here in this. We'll either have a wick in this 15-minute fair value gap above the 50.33 that will further give us a signal how price wants to move. Or we won't have it, right? And this fair value gap will just be closed, and then the next 2-hour candle will be coming down or doing something like that. This is overnight. We're going in Monday, a holiday. So just be really, really careful on how you want to position yourself here. Know that because we're in the middle here, it can do both sides, and it's really about equal price on both sides. I would just figure out if you're going to get in now, another way to think about how you want to execute this, you can get in now for whichever side you want and just wait for that side to happen and just trust that one of these two sides are going to happen within the next 2 to 3 days, because most likely will, because it's just where it's at, y'all. Okay. And you just set your profit for that. And no matter how long it takes, you just wait for it. That's an option. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, if you a little greedy like me, you gonna want to catch it up and you want to catch it down. And if you're trying to do that, you need to wait and you need to sit and you need to read the candles. And it is going to require you to be a little bit more at the trading desk in order to execute that move. But that's trader's choice. Okay. So you guys do what you feel is best based on the candles. But I would definitely study the 15-minute if you're going to try to do something before midnight tonight. Like, just pay attention to the 15-minute. All right. That's my words of advice there. Would it be best to do a straddle? Now, if you're playing options, I don't play options as much on futures. Okay. So for my options, futures people, then that is a yes. Just saying, you would play the straddle. Because then you can literally set 2 different take profits. You can say one at the top when it gets there and one at the bottom, however you want to do it. Sure, why not? That, because I would do that. So that's another way to do it. Sprinkle a little bit of tans of straddles on it and we'll be good to go. I agree. Especially if you pull the fib on the 2-hour and you can see how the Fibonacci may hit. Let me come back to this one. How the Fibonacci may run up into the 78 and then run down. Like, I don't know how, if you can play it Fibonacci-ish, level to level. You get that psychology? Because I know you understand Fib. That, I mean, so I can see, you could definitely see the straddle potential. Do it in sim. I may do that in sim, actually practice my straddles more and flex that muscle and see how that works out. So yeah, that actually may be a good idea. Hold on, let me open up my sim. I am getting back in sim, y'all. Why? Because it's time for me to get stronger. I am my strategy's good, but I'm recognizing I can do like, oh, let's recap on the fact that the vertical queen figured that shit out. Oh, I'm so proud of myself because I stalled on the call. I was like, dang, how I'm gonna do this? I really had to think, and I didn't go back through no notes. I just sat here and stared at the chart until it clicked in my head what, what I was supposed to do. I know that sounds crazy, but that's literally what happened. And yeah, your girl did great on the call credit spread, understanding using additional knowledge of fair value gaps and order blocks to sit through it. Cause the thing is, it went up because I was like, yo, I had went in, I had actually, it's crazy. I had actually did what I set it to 50-20, 50-25. Okay. It was so close because of how it ran up and down here. But gosh, like I I'm gonna keep practicing them a little bit more before I take them live again because I'm like that it was close, but it was all because of the conviction I had in price coming back to this lower time. I was like, it should close lower than higher. And um I'm gonna have to I'm gonna do it a few more times before I really break down the psychology on how to play that. But man, if I could shoot, that's easy money. Sometimes, when certain data's there, it's just doing a certain move and just take a call credit spread or put credit spread and just let it sit there and expire worthless. Cause I could have hacked out of it too. That was the other beautiful thing. Cause because of the way it moved on Friday, I could have hacked out of it just as easy. So with the profit and locked it in that way. It was just so great. It was so good. Oh man. All right. And get off that. It was a great move. Um, so there's a part of me wanting to get back in sim to flex my muscles to see how much I can juggle at one time. So only do what I'm used to doing in my live and then add on a few different things in sim to flex my muscles, take multiple types of trades at the same time and manage them. Y'all know I'm on that pro status, right? So getting straddles in more, iron condors, verticals, all of these things, depending, it's going to help me help teach you all how to better uh enter certain situations that call for it. Like certain situations on a chart just call for a vertical better than getting in a call or just a put because price didn't move that much. So you do better on those really stall days. Y'all know those days where it just like literally SPX played like the same $7 like all day. Like those are the best days to play verticals. I don't care what the VIX look like. It's just the best day to play the vertical. And we have to start as we understand order blocks and fair value gaps on the 2 hour. We're going to be able to call those stalls and news and all those things that we put together. Like, oh yeah, it's just stalling, and it really does just stall. We can play those verticals better. It's just to help you get that situational awareness, I guess I would say, to like, okay, this is a better day for this strategy versus this is a better day for that. Like we all know when the market's running, it's just easy to buy calls and just let the sucker run, right? Or easy to buy put and let the sucker run down. But in other situations, it's like, should I be playing both sides? Um, or should I play iron condor? We're squeezing in the middle and take profit. So I just want to further encourage that use sim to help you guys get stronger as well in managing your trades and managing multiple trades at a time as we get excited for earnings, this. So yeah. All right. So if I was doing this, we will be looking at ES because it's not worth playing options on MES sometimes. I mean, it's all right. I just play the whole thing as a stock on MES. All right, so it would be, we want to think through this as a group. Mm, mm, mm. You said a straddle, right, Yesenia? That's what we doing. Yeah, we just got to practice them. And on ES, I don't do them that much on ES, so. Which one would I want to buy? I feel like I'm gonna sit here and think about it. I feel like I have to contemplate and then give it to y'all in the chat versus taking up the time on a call. 'Cause it's really gonna take me a minute to look at it and be like, okay. Because I know that with ES, I don't like to pay contracts more than 10 days out. That's just a me thing. And on a move like this, and I just kind of want to feel my way through the contracts because I haven't been planning in a while. To really break this down. I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at 5 days. It's just the end of the week and play both sides because interest is good. And I'm thinking that 50-25. And just play a call and just play a put on that same. I think I want to do the same strike. Call and put. And I like the 50-25 because I like the call open interest on it, but I don't like the put open interest on it, which is interesting. And that's why I'm like, it might be same date, different strike. Like for me, the put has but see, I don't want to go that far out on that. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with these. Let me find the nice straddle situation I want to take, and then I'll share it with you guys, and I'll give you the exact date and everything because there's a bit of psychology I want to sit with myself and process through. So I'm gonna stand by and put them in notes. So we had an Adobe that we may do today, and then ES straddles or strangles. One of the two is about to happen. And I'll let you guys know exactly which one I'm gonna get into. And then as far as my live trade goes with ES, I am going to go back to this chart. I rather short at 50.33. So that's where I make my alert. And if it's giving me something where I can short, that's what I'd rather do. If at this point I can ride this up, then I will. But I'll let these $10 go and give me more data and just kind of wait. And then I'll put an alert at the bottom here at the 2-hour fair value gap open. Because if for whatever reason it does look like it's just turning down there, like it just doesn't continue all the way up here, it just starts to bleed down here, then I will just I will wait for this to happen because I don't know which one's going to do it. I feel like it's going to do the upside overnight first and then come back down. That's just the vibe I'm kind of feeling from it. That just wants to do this first and then come down. But if not, if I'm wrong, then I'll just catch it back up. Like I'll just have to wait for the data. That's just how I feel. I need one of these to go off and leave me some more candlestick data before I can actually get in there. All right. All right. Anything else you guys want to speak of today? Or our Sunday school charting? If you guys are good, of course you can always rewatch this video. I'll post it with or hit me up with questions in Telegram chat. But if you guys are good, you guys take care for this evening. And I will see you guys next week. Bye. You're welcome. Bye.